What's up, guys? It's me again, Dylan. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's Sunday afternoon, and it's been raining, and the sun comes out, then it starts raining again. And I'm taking a break from my lab study. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you're a regular, if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. If you're new and you want videos, motivational videos, instructional videos, particularly Cisco stuff, and you've come to the right place. Thank you so much. And just a quick update with regards to my study. As I've said earlier, just taking a short break because normally Saturday and Sunday are like my full-on lab days. I study, let's just say more than 4 hours a day. I know it's not that much, but since this is the second round already for me for the lab, if you are new to the channel, I've already made my first attempt last year, which turned out well. And it's funny though, I'm looking at my views, and the video that has the most number of views is that video where I was telling my story how I actually failed my first attempt, which is interesting. So a lot of guys want to find out how it feels like failing. But don't worry, pass or fail, I will definitely make another video right after I take my second attempt. So just a couple of updates. So as I've said, I've moved to the full-scale labs. I moved away from using rack rentals because you can only lab so much on rack rentals. For the INE, you can only use as much as like 10 routers or max 15. With the labs that I'm doing, I'm labbing more around like 30 to 40 devices. That's a combination of routers and switches. So I moved from GNS3. Well, I can do it via GNS3, but it just takes too much resources, and I moved to using Eve. So if you don't know what Eve is, just search for Eve, next generation simulation or emulator. I can probably include the link at the bottom. So I've moved into using Eve Labs, though you would need the IOL for the L3 and L2. The IOL is pretty much like a lighter Cisco, iOS version in that format, pretty much. And in terms of study schedule, because it's been, I'm trying out this new study schedule, which so far has been very effective for me. Because really, honestly, I start my day at the office like around 8 o'clock. So sometimes I would drive all the way to the Gold Coast from Brisbane, and that's like a minimum, especially these days when the Commonwealth Games is about to start. Traffic is becoming horrible. And it would take me a minimum of sometimes an hour and a half. So by the time I get to the office, I'm already tired. Then you go through your 8-hour typical shift. Then you drive back like another an hour and a half. And by the time I'm home, I'm just so exhausted. I know there are days wherein I get to work from home, which is majority of the week. But there are still some weeks where I'm needed more in the office. But generally, by the time I'm done with my shift for the day, I'm just so exhausted because I'm now a senior engineer, so I do escalations and I have so many projects here and there, helping out the new guys and training them. And so you can just imagine I've just been talking, just like, when was it, Friday, I just started training another person to be part of our NOC team, and I've been like talking for almost the entire day, just teaching the guy. And but anyway, so as I was saying, instead of just studying at night and until midnight or until 10 o'clock or until I'm just so tired, I just couldn't do it anymore. And it feels like it's useless because my brain is already tired. So what I'm doing now is by the time I get home, I just do a light dinner and I just sleep as early as I can. So we're looking at 7:30, between 7:30 to 9:30 in the evening, and I would wake up. If I'm lucky, I will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's actually nice because you start your day early and everything is quiet and you're just by yourself, and you wouldn't hear a thing, and you can just so focus, and I can push as much as like 4 hours of studying there, 4 hours of blabbing without any interruption. Nobody's gonna call you from work, wherein, oh, we have a cutover, or, oh, I have a question, while you're in the middle of study. You just have like dedicated couple of hours. Well, for me, I have a dedicated couple of hours just for myself. Yeah, I just go off, well, not really offline, but I just turn off everything, notification, just so I can get into deep work. Speaking of deep work, highly recommended book, Cal Newport, Deep Work. I have been reading a number of books as well. I think it's true. Well, you know the saying that most CEOs, they tend to read like 60 books in a year, and me and my wife, we've been reading a lot. For the last month alone, I've gone through like, yeah, Cal Newport's Deep Work. I've also gone through Grit by Angela Duckworth, 10X by Grant Cardone. Really good book if you're into sales. I'm currently reading Spark. What else? Oversubscribe. So I'm on my 5th book, which is still on track, reading a number of books per month. Some of them I read via text, some of it I go via audiobook. So it's way faster, because if it takes me like an hour and a half to from here, and that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't been doing like the morning conversation videos, because instead of doing those videos, I listen to audiobooks, and I try to learn something while on my way to work. I tried doing that with the INE stuff, having it on the background, but it's just so hard to focus, learning like technical stuff about EIGRP and OSPF, and it's fine. I did that when I did my CCMP, but when you're on that CCIE lab level, it will just cement the knowledge if you're just gonna lab it and not just like listen to some audio. Like I said, it worked for me when I was doing the CCMP, and not really much when I'm doing the CCIE lab prep. So those are just some of the update for my CCIE. Still looking forward to that boot camp that I will be attending come July, last week of July, in Sydney with Narvik. So looking forward to that. Anyway, oh, by the way, yeah, another update. Wasn't able to go to Cisco Live Melbourne this year. So sad. No, that's okay. At least I get to have like another, because last year when I was in Cisco Live, there was so many things going on, to the point that I wasn't able to study because I was just going from one class to another and going on the floor, and like so many things but it was a great experience. And definitely I will be back in Cisco Live. I don't know what year. And one day I will be in that CCIE corner, CCIE section. And I'm gonna do a video and I'm gonna post it right here. Anyway, as the title of my video goes, what is my biggest regret taking the CCNA? So we're gonna start. It's supposed to be taking the certification, but let's start with the very first certification that I took for Cisco. which is the CCNA. Yeah, like you know, uh, this idea of making this video was, I got the idea from this interview of Grant Cardone and then I think it was Ty Lopez, and they were talking about um, their confession, their business confession, like the things that the mistake that they made, and I would share. Uh, I have the same mistake that I'm about to confess to you guys that I regret about taking the CCNA, the Cisco, this journey. If there's one thing that I really regret, it would be I should have I should have done this a long time ago. And this is something, the reason that I'm sharing this to you is because, I don't want you to, let's say 5 years from now or 3 years from now, you're gonna say like, I should have done that a long time ago. And I will admit, once in a while that still occurs to me. Like, things are not easier, or there are things I was like, if I did this 20 years ago, no, not 20, yeah, maybe 20 years ago, or 15 or 10 years ago, I could have been like a CCIE by now. But anyway, things happen for a reason. But yeah, if that's my biggest regret, because I have this memory when I was starting out in IT, and I have all these PDFs of all these books about well, if you're regular, you would have probably known that I didn't start in networking. I actually started as a programmer, and back then I have all these books about TCP/IP, networking, CCNA, and I keep on telling myself, probably I'll read them one chapter. I have all these one day. I have all these, what if? What if I read a chapter a day or a chapter a month? At least, can you just imagine what I will read in a year? So I have the idea, but I failed to follow through with the actual action. So that's what I want to share with you guys, like, because I just got a comment a couple of days ago with one of my videos, and he was asking when is the best time to start the CCNA, and I actually have a dedicated video about that. Let me emphasize that again, that there's no best time. There's totally no best time. It's not the start of the year. It's not when you get to have like the perfect lab, because some people just like, oh, I can't start because I don't have the gear yet, or dude, you have packet tracer, you have GNS3, you can be very creative. There's so many YouTube videos out there, and I think it's more like the brain will trick you into doing something hard. And believe me, because I've been there. Like don't wait for the perfect lab to arrive. Don't wait to have the money. Oh, I don't have the money to buy books, to buy equipment. I don't have the perfect job. That was like one of my excuses actually back then. I don't want to go for the CCIE yet because I don't have a reason for it, and I still have to justify this with my wife, because back then I already had my CCMP, and I was like, should I go further? Should I start studying for the CCIE? But deep inside, I want to go for it. I want to have that number. But I was working as a teacher for TAFE, which is an equivalent of a community college in the U.S., or like a 2-year technical course, or a 3-year 18-month, or like how many months. So I have all these excuses in my mind, and I was like rationalizing. You tend to rationalize. That's why it's called rationalize. So your mind plays this, you know, I think it's a waste of time. So as it's like what this other book was saying, like the 5X, it's going to your survival mode, and your brain will just keep on convincing you that all sorts of things. Maybe, you're gonna lose time with your friends, you're gonna lose time with your family. Are you sure it's worth it? So like I said, do not wait for things to happen. You have to make it happen yourself. Another experience that I had was, let me open the light. Okay, cool. All right, another experience that I had was, we had this job interview for a position at NOC, and I was like reading this resume, and okay, so let's give this chick a chance. Oh, this was a chick. So okay, so you want to work for NOC, and you used to work for this very big IT company, and to cut the long story short, my question was, because there was somewhere in that resume that there was like a gap, and what were you doing from this time to that time? Did you study, or what were you doing to improve on yourself? And she was like, I do plan to study networking, but I think I'm gonna get the job first, or else, because I don't know where I'm gonna land, so I don't know what to focus on. And at the back of my mind, I already made up my decision that I'm not gonna hire you, because this is an opportunity already. And I think I've already stated this in a previous video, in one of my morning conversation, that you just have to start in order to be ready, so that when that opportunity comes in, you know what to answer. You're ready for it. Like the saying, born ready. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna start studying networking once you gave me the job. It doesn't work that way, dude. Do that. And nobody wakes up amazing. I didn't wake up and I just realized, oh, I know how to configure OSPF, or I know how to configure BGP and all these attributes to do traffic engineering, MPLS, and I'm not, by the way, when I say nobody wakes up amazing, I didn't mean like, yeah, most of us, we wake up amazing if we get full 8 hours of sleep. That's not what I meant. I mean, like, great at something, right? Doctors, they don't wake up like, oh, I know how to perform surgery. Everybody starts at 0. And you gotta start somewhere. And there's no time, there's no better time. It's like exercise. It's like going to the gym. Sometimes you hate it, but you just have to do it. God, you have no idea how I hate waking up 3 o'clock in the morning and just open my computer, and like I'm still like the blue light on my eyes. It's way early in the morning, but I enjoy labbing, but it's not every day that I wake up and I'm like so excited, jumping up and down just to hit the labs, do the grind. This for yourself, you're not keen in doing things that you love most of the, things, there are some things you just have to do, like studying, practicing, perfecting your craft, whatever it is. I don't care if it's even doing tricks on skateboard, but the thing is, you just have to keep on doing. You just have to keep on chipping on it until you have not perfection but progress. Okay, so I'm already hitting 20 minute mark on my video. I'm sorry for blabbing too much. I just want to get my message across to you guys that you really have to start now. Again, well, before I end, it's like this video about Casey Neistat, and he was talking about YouTube demonetizing, some YouTube channels, and they change some rules, and he was saying that, do not be discouraged with all these changes. The important thing, it's not gonna get easy. In fact, it's gonna get harder. Like it was easier for him doing it now, considering that he has like 9 million subscriber. But because he started way early with all these concept of providing content, it's no different with certification or doing something different or improving on your craft. You just have to do it now. It's not gonna get easier. In fact, it's just gonna get harder. Another story that I want to say is, like, when I did my CCNA, the reason that I opted to study for 8 freaking weeks, not because I'm like a genius or anything. Let me remind you, this was my very first certification. I was studying in a group. There were like 3 or 4 of us that taking the exam, and we all, well, 2 of us made it. We did it in like 8 weeks. Not because we're like a bunch of genius. We studied our butt off. To the point that my wife was hating me. And the real issue there, the real story there is it's not because we want to finish it in 8 weeks. For me personally, I know, because that was a point. It's not because I wanted to finish it in 8 weeks. The real reason there was because they're about to change the certification. If you're familiar with the CCNA, like the code, the exam code now is like the 100 dash something. I was on that border, like not really border, but the exam code that I took. Sorry about that. The exam code that I took was the 645 blah blah. It was transitioning to the 100 code. Okay, so that's it, because I know it's gonna get harder. It's not gonna get easier. Are you calling me lazy? Do you call that laziness? Yeah, probably, but I did it in 8 weeks. And because my reasoning there is I intend to do the CCNP right after. So there you go. I remember there was a guy in our group who was saying, oh, I'm going to wait for the CCNA. I'm going to wait for the 100 code because, they're going to add more things into it, and I want to learn the new stuff. And, she's saying like, oh, you might miss out on something. Like, I don't care, because I'm going to take the CCNP right after that. So, but anyway, that's extra 3 minutes. Thank you guys so much for that. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Create the opportunity right now. There's no better time. Okay, so this has been Dylan again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And remember, guys, keep on studying, because it's all worth it. Take it from me.